All across the nation right now, we have problems. But the epicenter, if you would, is none other than my alma mater, Columbia University, where you see, let's go back to that video of Hamilton Hall. It's just unbelievable. They're breaking windows, guys. They're breaking windows. And this scene that's playing out, it's actually causing a lot of discord, interestingly, in newsrooms across America right now. Specifically, one in particular that I'm going to get to, because it's almost like some people are siding with the pro-Palestinian protesters and the other people are not. Let's take a quick look at, is it CBS, the morning show, where Gayle King, Oprah's friend, is very clear that these are protesters. They're just war protesters.
Now to breaking news overnight, a major escalation in the protests at Columbia University, where demonstrators against the war in Gaza have now broken into a building on campus.
Okay, did you hear that?
Banner renaming Hamilton
war protesters. How did we go from
who was killed in Gaza,
Hamas or Gaza supporting protesters to they're just war protesters? Oh, it's all fine. It's all fine. It's totally peaceful. Well, that totally peaceful narrative really isn't playing out. Can we go back to the smashing of the windows, please? You look at this video. You tell me if there is anything peaceful about what is going on. You tell me when you hear to the river, from the river to the sea. Is there anything peaceful about that? No, because that actually stands for the annihilation of the Jewish people. That stands for genocide. And don't tell me these kids are so stupid. They're all at Ivy Leagues, thank you very much. And I know what we think about the Ivies, but I'm sorry. They're not total idiots. They know exactly what it means. So this came up on Morning Joe today. And I'm going to show you how Joe and Mika are talking about it with Richard Haas, who's head of the CFR, Council on Foreign Relations, along with Mr. Greenblatt. Everybody's talking about this, and they're sounding very different than, how shall we say, the primetime hosts like Joy Reid. Watch.
Well, they're adults, and go ahead.
No, so I was just going to say this is it's one half about the students. It's also about, Mika, these authorities and the lack of them. Why are these school administrators, why are they abdicating their responsibility to this degree? And this affects students, it affects outsiders, it affects teachers with tenure. The last I checked, tenure is supposed to give you intellectual protection so you can say things in classrooms. It doesn't, it seems to me, give you the ability to break the law with impunity. And I just don't understand what's... And you see also the difference on the campuses between what's happening on some, Chicago and Florida, as opposed to what's happening at Columbia and others. There's an enormous gap in the principle and backbone we're seeing here.
Well, Richard, to your point, I think that's where that's the place we've all been sitting and watching this, going, what the hell is going on? What are these universities doing? Why aren't they doing something? And I'll echo the horror that this does look like January 6th. What a terrible example for our students. At the same time, these are
you had me,
adults,
Mika, until
the question
that.
is, why do you
But no, I mean,
choose?
she's trying to make the point that this is not good, right? And in her world, January 6th was a really awful thing. And so, this is not good. And I agree with her. This is not good. What we're seeing on college campuses right now is really concerning. And thank goodness I don't have a kid on a college campus right now. Thank goodness I'm not on a college campus right now. I can't even imagine. Basically, you pay $67,000, and guess what? You don't even get to go to class right now. $70,000 a year in tuition, and you're not even able to go to class there at Columbia University. So Columbia, clearly kind of the epicenter of problems. And by the way, every politician is parachuting into Columbia. I mean, do we have the video of Ilhan Omar, who said some rather inappropriate things? Well, we'll hang on that for a second. I'm going to show you that in a second. Before I do, I got to first show you Joy Reid, because you heard from Mika. You heard how she feels. She's obviously very concerned. Just remember, this is MSNBC, right? This is exposing a division, shall we say, not just within the network, but also within the Democrat Party. Because a lot of people of color, they would say, feel differently. Here is Joy Reid telling you it's just one big kumbaya session at these college campuses right now.
I saw, Mark, these students singing and singing about peace and singing salam, singing words of peace. So it just didn't square with what I was even hearing on television and television commentators saying was shrieking anti-Semitism. I didn't hear it.
No, I was there yesterday, and it was very peaceful and very moving. One of the institutions affiliated with Columbia, of course, is Union Theological Seminary, and the Union students held a Sunday worship service and served communion there on the campus, even to those beyond the gates who couldn't get in. So this betrays the imagery of there being violent rhetoric spewed. I will say this, I do have a colleague whose daughter is a freshman at Barnard, and she has faced some harassment. But as Mariam said, these are outliers. And in the movement, we've always had
It happened at Black Lives Matter rally.
Yeah, you've got provocateurs.
Yeah.
So but in general, it's not a good idea to generalize what's going on. These are peaceful and nonviolent demonstrations.
Let me, what do you make of the leaders of your school seeming, I guess, to appease maybe members of Congress that have been all over your president and wanted to resign, calling the NYPD on you all?
It feels like it's been a McCarthyite campaign to try to equate our peaceful protests, calling for them to divest from violence, and then they're calling us violent instead. It was absolutely horrifying to be carried out in zip ties when we were, just peacefully calling for an end to the violence.
Oh, my goodness, right? I wasn't kidding, right? When I told you that they were talking about singing Kumbaya. She actually said, and they were singing. And then he talks about they're handing out communion and, it's just one big joy fest. If it's so joyful joy, then why did they have to shut down classes? Why are they breaking windows? Why are they taking over buildings? And by the way, why the heck is the president of the university not doing anything about it? Right? It's like the bedtime hour. I loved it. Jesse Waters actually said this on the 5 yesterday. He said, in our house, when we say you're done and it's bedtime, it's over. There's no more Paw Patrol. Okay? The Paw Patrol goes off. That was great. You know what? End the Paw Patrol, turn off the TV, turn off the computer, turn them off, and turn off their degrees. Expel the students that are disrupting the peace. Arrest the students that are disrupting the peace. For goodness sakes, they're not even showing their faces in many cases. I mean, how pathetic is that, ladies and gentlemen, that they're not even showing their faces?